Okay, so step 2. Now we're going to make a totally separate, that's running, our web service is up and running. Now I'm going to make a client. The most simple kind of client you can imagine is a console, right? A console app. No UI, just the black and white text of a console app. Now, quick question. Do I need to add my NuGet package for my database? Do I need it? Yeah, for the console app? No. That's the worry of the web service, right? It looks after the database. I just want the data, right? I don't care about the database. I don't care about SQL tools, any of that stuff, right? Let me start the project. Start a new copy of Visual Studio going here. Create a new project. Just type console. Be a little careful. Don't get anything with .NET Framework. That's old now, right? Just get a console app, C#. That's what we want. Click next. And I'm not going to even save this one, so I'll just leave the name what it is. Okay. All right. Now, again, make sure it's .NET 8. That's what we want to use for now. And create. Console apps are pretty bare bones and simple, but there we are. There it is. Program.cs. There's not much else here. All right. Some dependencies and away we go. Now we do need a package, right? Actually, that's included in the one we're going to ask for, which is WebAPI client, right? Now I could go through and find it, but the latest version is fine, so I can just do an install package. So, package manager console. Install package, Microsoft ASP.NET Web API client. So you can install this into any Microsoft doodad, and now you can talk to the Web API, right? Without having to manually do everything. Okay. Now, there's no folders or anything, but hey, what we said before is we have a nicely structured system in the server, bunch of gobbledygook data goes back and forth, but we're programmers. We want object-oriented programming. We want to have nice model classes on the client too. So I'm going to organize it by making a models folder. So we'll add a folder called models. I will add classes for doctor and patient. Class for doctor. And we'll add one for patient. And they're right in my copy-paste file. Because, of course, I built the Web API, so I can access the smarts there. Now, I'm not bothering with very many annotations here, am I? I don't need to. Okay? There's no database. Right? There's nothing to use those annotations anyway, so I just need the basic properties for the most part. I've got my summary properties here, so the fact that I removed them from the data before they came down is fine. I'm recreating them as I work with my object here. Now, I think I showed people this in the past, but for the patient class here, right, I have the JSON data. I think I've shown everybody this, but just in case I haven't, let me go back to Chrome. Oh, I opened Firefox, I didn't mean to. Here's where my data is, right? That's what a patient looks like, okay? Maybe I'll even make sure, I'll just go / 4, right? That's patient ID 4, okay? I can copy all this, Control A, Control C. Coming back to my class, I can go down from edit to paste special. Oh, I feel special today. Okay, paste special, JSON as classes, or XML. If I had XML, I could do that with that as well. And there we go, right? Now, it doesn't know the name of that root object, does it, right? Yeah, it doesn't know what it is. It's not in the JSON itself. So it just called it root object. But it saw that I had a property called doctor, then, ooh, everything was there to how to build the doctor, right? Now, it's not perfect, this approach. It did a good guess. It figured out that this data burst with a date-time data type, okay? But sometimes things are off, right? It might be a string and you meant it to be something else and so on and so forth. But, you know, sometimes it'll get you most of the way there to getting your classes. This is an especially useful technique if you're going to make a client for dealing with or talking with somebody else's web API. There are millions of web APIs out there. Everything from, you know, web APIs that give information about what bird sounds are being heard in your local area, and you name it, weather APIs and so on. And many of them are free. You can look online and find thousands of web APIs out there. You can make your own client, and that's a neat trick. All you need is a copy of the data that they send down, and you can create your own object, right? And it'll usually work, maybe with a little bit of fine-tuning. Okay, now of course I don't want everything from that, right? Control. I actually have my own version, so I'm going to stick with it because I'm the developer of both sides of this deal here, right? Okay, so there's my patient as I want it laid out, right? So you see the row version, I have it as the byte array and so on, right? Okay, that's good. All right, so now I'm ready. I've got those two things in place. So I have my NuGet package for the Web API client. So all I really need, I'm going to want to have, of course, my namespace for my models folder, just because I created the subfolder for them. Oh, I've got the wrong name there, because I didn't call it. Console app1.models. And something else I need to be able to work with headers. Actually, this would be added for me automatically, but might as well put it in. Okay, so what are we going to do inside this console app? Well, this is the kind of thing where I'll just get in trouble if I don't just go and get all the code, but we're going to set breakpoints and step through the execution. It's a console, folks. All we're going to have is a black screen of death, and a black screen, and we'll just see it run. So let's just talk about what we're doing. We're going to create our client object. It's an HTTP client, right? We'll set our base address. Now, I've got to make sure this matches, because what is the port here? It's 5287 is the port of my URL. So 5287. Okay. So I set that as the base address for my client. I'll clear the headers, and then I'm going to say, this is how we ask for the format of data we want. Please give me JSON. If I wanted XML, I'd just change that, right? And that's all set. So it's ready to ask. So I define a response object, an HTTP response message, right? So then I can just go to my client and call get, okay, asynchronously, pass the URI, okay, to add to the base address, and that should give me my response. So one way, you could do try catches in different approaches. We will look at other approaches, but one thing that is simple to do here is just say ensure success status code. How many success status codes are there? Yeah? Isn't 201 a success as well? Anyway, I think there's about 3 or 4 of them. I don't even know. I asked. That's not very fair. I know there's a handful. You can make custom. And you can add custom ones too, yeah. But as long as there's any of the success status codes, then this will be happy, right? Yeah. And if it's not one of the defined success status codes, it will throw an exception. So that'll jump down to my catch block. So that's one way to structure these, the logic of these, right? Okay, so now I have the response, so I can just go into the content and read the data. And look at this, model binding, okay? I don't have to manually first name, last name, build all the objects in code. No, I can just say, hey, give me a list of patient objects. Bada bing, bada boom. And that'll give me all my patients. So I'm going to set a breakpoint right there. And let's hope it actually works. Web API is still running. There's a bill there. What did I do? Oh, that was in my copy paste file. That was me. I don't want Tizen. Anyway, it told me it built successful. All right, good. Try it again. My breakpoint's still there. Okay, so I've gotten this far. I'll close the solution now. Just give us more room. Okay, so let's just try it out. I'll skip on to the next line. And there we go. So I have my patients. So there they are. I can expand anyone that I want, see all the detail. So it worked. It got all that data. And then I have like 148 or something patients. I'm not quite sure. I could ask it. 174 patients is what I've created, right? Okay, and then for each one, it's going to write out a line to the console. I want to stop again, so let me come down here, set another breakpoint, so I can just click continue. Because I don't want to sit here and click next 174 times. So let it skip down to that point. But let's have a look at the output here in the console window, right? So there it is. So that's all the data that I got. I've used the full name, showing the expected yearly visits, and because the doctor is fully materialized, it's included, I'm showing the full name of the doctor as well. That's just what I chose when I set up my command to print out to the screen, right? Okay. All right, so that's good. We got this far. So now I'm going to add a patient. So I'm going to new up a patient manually. I'm setting values, so let's just, hopefully this should go okay. Yep, looks like it worked okay. So I'm going to do a console write line just to show you the patient I'm about to add. Let's have a look at him. Okay, Tyrion Lannister. I don't know where I got that name from. I have no idea. Okay. All right. So we're going to try. Oh, sorry, I went a little fast there. So I went to my client and I asked it to post as JSON asynchronously to, okay, add into the base URI, API/patient, and I just passed the patient object. How simple in code is that? Beautiful. And I get the response back as long as it's a success. Okay. Now here's a neat trick. I can go to headers location, and what does that give me? That gives me the URI to select that one patient, right? So the last bit of information, hard to see from the back of the room there, is / the ID of the new patient that I just created, right? Okay, so that's what the next line of code does. I'm just using toString.split with the /, grabbing the last bit. That gives me the new ID that was just generated for the record. Okay, and then I'm going to write out that we successfully uploaded them, right? Okay, now I'm going to go back. I want to get the full record because the data that I have right now doesn't include the actual doctor, right? So I'm going to actually do another get, okay, for API patient, and I have the new ID, so I can go get the full record from the web API for the one I just created. Okay, make sure I got a success status code, and then I'm going to actually grab the patient. Okay, so I go to the content, read async, the single patient that was in the data that was sent down. And that gives me my added patient. I know it's the same one that I put up, but now it's fully flushed out with the ID is in place and the doctor's in place, right? So I can do a console write line again. And now I see, okay, record from the database. So now I see the ID 175, whereas the local copy I had still had 0 as the ID, right? And of course now it has the full name of the doctor because I got that when I went back to the web API to get the full information available. Now I'm going to take that object, the patient object I have, my added patient, I'm going to make a change to the data. Okay, the expected yearly visits initially was 5, so I'm going to change it to 10. There we go. Now I'll do an update. Update in the REST syntax is a put. So I'll put as JSON async. Okay, I use the patient URL, the one I got earlier, and I bundle up my added patient, my object. And away it goes. Okay? As long as I'm successful, then I know it did, right? So I'm going to say I've edited the record, and I can see that console write line output right here. That we edited Tyrion Lannister, the visits, now 10. Okay, now I'm going to delete the record I added just to finish testing all the CRUD operations. Did I get a success status code? Yes, I did. So I'm going to just go and write line successfully deleted. And the only way to show it's gone, well, the easiest thing I thought of is just go back and get the data again. And I'll show that it's not there. Now, when I first planned this, I was only going to have a handful of records, 4 or 5 records, right? So it'd be pretty easy to show that it was gone. Now I've got 174 because I added all that extra seed data, but that's okay. I'll just run it. And now you can see, let me scroll back up here, right? So there's where it said, oh, we deleted it. So we'll go get the list again to show it's gone. And sure enough, I go to the bottom of the list. There's still an order here. So it stops at 174. Okay, so 175, Tyrion, he's dead. Poor guy, yeah. He dies at the end of the show anyway. I'm sorry if I gave anything away. All right. So he's deleted. No more Tyrion. All right, so anyway, that's just an example, right? It's more of a learning exercise than anything else. It's not a hard example to do. But I just want to show you how from a simple console client, you can do a full CRUD operation now that you have that capability up in our web API. Any questions about that? Okay, well, I'll get this code posted as well up in Brightspace. But that was good. Thank you very much for your help and your attention.